Welcome back, everybody. It's time now for another episode of Catholic Cocktails. This is the weekly video production from Salt and Light Catholic Radio in Boise. And once a week, we raise a glass and share a toast with some of the more famous Catholic saints of our faith based on this book, Drinking with the Saints, from Michael Foley.
So each week we introduce to you a saint of the week. We set up the drink and introduce everything right here. We'll send it over to Teresa Zapeta, who's kind of our saint expert. She'll send it back to us. Our bartender will make the drink. It may be amazing, it may not be. And then Brian and I get to talk about what we learned.
Yeah, you can't hit a home run every time you step up to the plate. As much as we'd like to,
yeah, well,
even though it's not baseball season. There's an analogy.
Well,
this week we're talking about Saint Agatha and the drink that we're going to be making in her honor. As I roll my eyes, the Twin Peaks.
I'm excited.
If you know anything about Saint Agatha, yeah.
Just look up some art of her.
Yeah.
And you'll know.
Okay.
And you'll get it.
So what do we need hardware-wise to make this delicious drink?
Delicious drink. So we're going to need, of course, your usual cocktail glass, ice, a shaker, but this time you're going to need a spoon as well because it is stirred, not shaken.
Ah, and you might need 2 cups.
Maybe.
We don't know.
We're not sure.
Well, we'll get into that. Okay, well, we know what we're making and what we're going to need to do that. So now let's learn all about Saint Agatha from our area saint expert. Here's Teresa Zapeta.
On February 5th, the Church honors God by celebrating Saint Agatha's feast. Her martyrdom and early cult are historically certain, but the details around her life are legendary. For example, both the city of Cantonia and Palermo, Italy, are duking it out as to which one has the privilege of being her birthplace. But it can be inferred that in the year 235 AD, somewhere in one of those cities at the base of Mount Etna, Agatha was born to a noble, wealthy Roman family. Well, Italian family, I should say. As an adolescent, she expressed a desire to give her life to God. And so in a ritual called the taking of the veil, her bishop bestowed upon her a red veil, which was a symbol of her consecration to God. Now, in 250 AD, the Emperor Decius sent out an edict against the Christians, and a long persecution of the Christians ensued. Now, there are 2 different stories or legends about this, but in the 6th century, it says that the proconsul Quintinian was charged with enforcing this edict, and he had an eye on Agatha, who fled from Cantonia to Palermo. Now, another story said it was a Senator Quintinius who was the one who was responsible for her tortures. Anyway, if she was in Palermo, she was brought back to Cantonia and subjected to various cruel tortures in order to get her to abjure her faith. One such notable torture was that her breasts were torn off of her. She was sent back to her prison cell, sore and bloody. St. Peter appeared to her in a vision that night and restored her to health. She then appeared back in court, and her persecutor, enraged that she still was not going to forsake her God, declared that she should be further tortured by being put on hot coals wrapped in her red veil. At the moment he proclaimed that edict, the whole town shook with an earthquake. The alarmed citizens rushed to the court and begged Quintinian or Quintinius to revoke that punishment. She was taken off the brazier because It was feared that there would be a fierce protest, and she was sent back to jail. It was there that she died of her tortures. Now, she is proclaimed patroness of Cantonia, and she's invoked against diseases of the breast and earthquakes. There is a story that a year after her death, Mount Etna erupted, and a flow of lava was proceeding to the city of Cantonia. The citizens went to the sepulchre of Saint Agatha, invoking her intercession, and they laid her red veil in front of the path of the lava, which miraculously stopped its procession. From there, a vigorous cult ensued. She is listed in the canon of the Mass. The first Eucharistic prayer is where you'll hear her name mentioned. Now, there are some customs that have arisen in celebrating her life, especially focused on one of her tortures. They're rather humorous, and the author of Drinking with the Saints takes this cue. And so he suggests the drink called the Twin Peaks, which he says can be two of them now served on a tray in honor of St. Agatha's feast day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much, Teresa. Today we have with us another new bartender. Introduce yourself really quick.
My name's Josie.
Alrighty, so Josie, what are we going to be making today?
The Twin Peaks.
The Twin Peaks? What goes into a Twin Peaks drink?
We're gonna have our whiskey.
All right, and why did you choose this whiskey?
It's just a popular, good one.
Okay, gorgeous.
Can't go wrong with it. Then we have the Vermouth.
Okay.
And it is kind of like herby.
All right, okay.
And then the orange citrus.
Kind of a citrusy liqueur. Okay, gorgeous. And in these flavors, do you think it'll be more on the herby side or more on the citrus side?
I don't know, probably herby.
Probably. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm going to hand it over to Josie, and she's going to make for us the Twin Peaks.
Okay, so now we're making the Twin Peaks. We're gonna start with 1.5 ounces of the whiskey. Then a half. Then we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of the vermouth. And then 1 tablespoon. And then after that, we're just gonna get like a little stirry. Stir it up. Then we'll have it with like a drainer and just go ahead and pour that in. Boop. And then we'll just finish it off with a lemon. And there's that Twin Peaks.
Okay, we are back, and as always, ladies first.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
What'd you say? It looked like weak iced tea?
It looks like weak iced tea.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Oh, I'm shaking.
I'm really excited about the Maker's Mark, because that personally is my favorite bourbon.
It's bitey.
Bitey?
But the citrus definitely comes through.
Does it? Okay.
It has like an initial kind of like boom, and then it's like sweet on the end, like almost candy-esque. Like if you had orange candy, does that make sense?
I wonder when there was so much vermouth going in that I wondered if it would be sweet.
Right.
And it is.
Yeah. She said it would be more herby. We got a lot more of the orange, but it's okay. It's not terrible.
I think I really like that.
Yeah, it's good. Would recommend.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks.
I wasn't expecting much.
You know, you never know with these drinks,
Yeah,
honestly.
that was really, really good. All right, now back to St. Agatha,
Yes,
since
back
that's
to
what the show is
seriousness.
all about. Another one of these amazing souls, beautiful, that just gave everything for the Lord.
Right, yeah, very humble, dedicated herself both spiritually and physically to God, which of course then led to
Her martyrdom.
right, her martyrdom, which the first time, I think Teresa talked about it, but the whole Twin Peaks thing has to do with her being tortured and having her breasts removed.
Yeah.
But then I read in the book that they like came back. Like she was,
Miracle.
all it said was that she was healed. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that just means like her wounds were healed or if she was restored.
Yeah, interesting. Well, again, I think we've covered so many martyrs here recently on the program, and you have to wonder that in the 21st century, how many people out there would be willing, I guess, to die such a horrific death for their faith.
I think Catholic families have had that conversation where, you know, as I know my parents did anyway, where we sat down and it was like, look, you know, kind of comparing what goes on in the Middle East and the martyrdoms that are actually happening there, and being like, you know, if somebody came in and pointed a gun to your head, like, would you say yes or would you say no? And I know those are very extreme examples that we're giving, but I think it's something we at least need to think and talk about and be like, am I spiritually ready for this? Am I really entirely the Lord's, or am I still kind of on that journey? Which is fine. Like, it's better to be more honest with yourself and know where you're at in your spiritual journey than to be like, oh yeah, I totally would. Kind of the whole Peter movement, if that makes sense. Sorry, Peter, I just kind of threw you under the bus, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, we probably can all think back to scary times in our own lives where we were forced to make a decision and we had to stand on our own, you know, what do you believe? What do you stand for? And sometimes we don't always make the right decision, unfortunately. You know, that the culture can maybe paint us into a corner and we don't make the best decisions.
Well, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of
Right.
pressure put on Christians to agree with certain ideas or to say yes to certain policies in their businesses and in their homes and in the education system. And it's scary. I mean, we're seeing violent responses to certain behaviors and ideologies that are being pushed on society today. So
I think recently, you know, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade and now in certain states where abortion is illegal, there still is the chemical abortion that you can get from the pharmacy.
Right.
And now you're thinking about, okay, all these people that work in the pharmacy at some of these well-known, you know, whether it's CVS or Walgreens or whatever you have in your town where you're watching this program, you know, think about those workers that, you know, abortion is totally off my radar.
Right.
I don't believe in it, yet I'm filling a prescription where I
to
know a baby is going to die as a result of this woman taking these pills. So, you know, that's a moral dilemma. But it's also what puts food on your table and gas in your
That's
tank.
what pays your bills. No, I have a friend who's a pharmacist, and I've never really had that conversation with her, but that's an excellent point.
So, and I'm not sure what your situation is. You watching, or are you in a place where you sometimes are put in a moral dilemma with your job or with your friends or your family even, where you have to make the tough call and the tough decision.
Sometimes you have to say, I'm done with this job. You know, if you're in that place in your faith life where you're willing to take that moral step, you know, but tough questions that we're asking here today. Sorry, deep topic.
Of course, we work at a Catholic radio station.
So we don't have that problem.
We celebrate our faith every day.
True.
I did want to share, I don't know if I want to share the inappropriate toast.
We'll go the other way.
Okay, so there is an appropriate toast that
right.
would be, to St. Agatha, may we have her faith, her fortitude, and her prayers.
I like that.
If you want the inappropriate one, email me
Get the
and
book.
I'll send it to you. Or buy the book.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Buy the
Drinking with
book.
the Saints. But, all right, well, great stuff. St. Agatha, wonderful saint. And if you are in one of those situations where you need some courage, learn more about these martyrs of the early faith and just take courage on what they did in their life. And the drink, big thumbs up from both of us.
Yes, would recommend.
Would recommend.
5 stars on Yelp. Alrighty, guys. Well, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias, and of course follow our YouTube page. We have lots of other content that is on there besides just this show. So yeah, please hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, notifications, turn your notifications on because then you don't know when the new episodes are out.
That's right.
Oh, which we did change. So it's not Mondays anymore, we actually bumped it to Fridays. So on your last day of the week, you get to hang out with us.
Don't feel bad, I didn't get the memo either. It's all right. But now you know, you've been told. All right, well that's gonna wrap up another edition of Catholic Cocktails. Special thanks to The Harp, to Jamie and all of her incredible staff here at the Harp Irish Pub in Meridian for sponsoring us once again this week. And thank you for watching.
Yes.
And what are we doing next week?
So next week we are going to be learning about Saint Scholastica. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And you know, enjoying a classic mimosa.
Oh, who doesn't love a mimosa?
Breakfast, lunch,
it's the breakfast of
dinner.
champions.
It works.
All right, well, until next time, Saint Agatha, pray for us. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.